Welcome to my series, Quick and Easy Guides. Today we'll be going over Twitch basics. I'll be covering Twitch's pregame, laning phase, mid-game, and late game all in this short video. Here are some timestamps if you want to skip to a specific part. Twitch is an extremely high damage carry in teamfights, who also excels during mid-game skirmishes and duels due to his assassin capabilities. Unlike other glass cannon hyper carries like Kog'Maw, Twitch's ambush gives him incredible control over his positioning prior to every fight. These are the runes and masteries I use. The runes are standard AD carry runes that give flat AD, armor, MR, and attack speed. The masteries are also pretty standard for AD carries. I take Assassin in the Cunning Tree because Twitch makes a lot of 1v1 plays, and Biscuit is not needed since I take Feast and Vampirism in the Ferocity Tree. Fervor is by far the best ultimate mastery as of patch 6.10, since Thunderlords and Warlords were nerfed in previous patches. This is what the current core item build path looks like for Twitch. The choice between Blade or Youmuu's first is preference. Youmuu's gives you CDR and stronger burst damage, but I prefer Blade because the lifesteal allows you to have split push presence and keep you healthy enough to re-engage and maximize the benefit of your ambush resets. After IE and sometimes even after Runons, you'll have to build adaptively. These are some common options for some general scenarios. This is Twitch's most successful skill order. After the first 3 levels, you pretty much prioritize your ultimate, E, Q, and then W. Against stronger early game junglers, you might want to take Q at level 3 to escape any early game ganks. Twitch actually has a pretty strong laning phase relative to the other hyper carries. Although he has a short auto range, his E and W range allow him to put pressure onto lane opponents. Some lane matchups that give him a lot of trouble are Caitlyn and Lucian, because they deal a lot of unanswered harass. Lucian is more of a skill matchup as his Q can be outplayed, but Lucian definitely has an easier time because it's still Lucian. Twitch is weakest against heavy CC supports like Alistar, Leona, or Braum, and he's the strongest with supports that can draw aggro or create space for him so he can deal damage freely. Some examples of good lane partners would be Sona, Braum, Karma, or Ali. When trading, always try to get your W off in between your auto attacks. Twitch doesn't have many mana problems, so whenever you're able to get at least 3 stacks of poison onto an enemy, use Expunge and back off to wait for all your cooldowns to come back. Your Q can be used to assassinate enemies, but the duration during laning phase is too short to give too many opportunities. Instead, you can use your Q to surprise your enemies for free harass, or to escape ganks. As soon as you get your ultimate, your fighting power becomes incredibly strong. Don't be stingy with this ultimate, as it only has a 90-second cooldown, so any hint at an all-in is a good situation to use your R. I often even use it to clear waves when my enemy is back to get a quick push onto their turret, so I can recall. And by the time I return to lane, I've already wasted about a minute on the cooldown. Twitch starts to become really scary during the mid game. This is because after his first item, he spikes in power and he's immediately able to take almost any skirmish or duel as long as he has health, his ultimate, and his item active up. During this part of the game, you'll want to create pressure from your lane and open up the bot side of the map. This will help you maximize the effectiveness of your ambush. Push your lane whenever possible and look for opportunities to catch the enemy AD carry when he's farming and starting to push back the lane. You can buy pink wards to extend your vision and secure areas where you can activate your ambush without being seen. Your goal here is to control the enemy AD carry by continuously threatening them with your stealth and keeping them guessing where you are. They'll be scared to leave their tower zone eventually, and you'll be able to do whatever you like while they're forced up against their tower. While they're still guessing about your whereabouts, you can roam to gank other lanes or group for objectives like Dragon. Your team fighting ability is already extremely strong, and you're able to use your ultimate whenever you want still. Just make sure you come back to your lane to push it out to maintain control of the map. A small trick you can use to fool your opponents is to fake a recall right before the last enemy minion in a wave dies. In the enemy's vision, it will look like I recall right after, which many people do as an efficient recall. Instead, I cancel it and stealth to look for opportunities. When Twitch hits his late game, he becomes a teamfight monster. You'll have to adjust your playstyle for mid-game because it will be much more dangerous roaming around freely. The enemy team will likely be grouped most of the time, and with many different champions that can easily one-shot a Twitch if you're out of position. You should always be relatively close to your team. Although you have to play like a hyper carry during the late game, Twitch's ambush gives them a huge edge in terms of positioning. You want to be invisible as often as possible when grouping for objectives. This is so that if a fight suddenly breaks out, you can't be targeted and can move to a favorable position before participating in the fight. Of course, Twitch's ambush has a cooldown, and you can't be invisible infinitely, so you'll have to try to go invisible when you're expecting a fight within the next 5 to 10 seconds. 2 common scenarios to activate your Q are when your team is sieging or defending a siege, and the minion wave is about to reach the turret. or when your team is grouped around Dragon or Baron and has already been started. Other than these two obvious scenarios, you'll have to use your judgment. When positioning on Twitch, try to pop out of your stealth in areas where your enemies will clump in a line and funnel through if they chase you. This makes it easy for you to kite backward and deal a shitload of damage. Inspecific to late game, but a very important tip for cleaning up fights with your Q resets, is to channel stealth while running away from your enemies. Obviously, if you have to chase them, this is not the best strategy, but I'd say about 80% of the time you can pick up free kills after teamfights because the enemies are already weakened. The reason this works is because it baits your enemies into thinking that you're running away from them, so they drop their guard and either farm unsafely or recall in horrible positions. I hope I helped you learn something about Twitch. I'll be uploading a full game commentary as well as 1 or 2 lower elo VOD reviews to go with this guide in the next couple weeks. You can like, comment, subscribe, or follow me on Twitch, Twitter, or Facebook at /Platizzi, and thanks for watching!